Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, all other forms of configurations. I'm your host, Jimbo Jim Jobs, and I'm here accompanied with my good friend Ben. Tell me, Ben, how are you?
Doing fine.
Oh, that's really great, Ben.
So I'm here today in the D Club.
D Club, yeah, we're here to interview one of Miss Bigdas' star students. Give a round of applause to Gerardo Natarin.
Woo! Yeah!
Hello, Ben. Hello, Jimbo. I'm glad to be here. Oh, I'm glad that you're here too. I must add, you're looking extra stunning today. Oh, Jimbo, you flatter me too much.
All right, well let's get right to it. What the podcast is. So Gerardo, how is Miss Bigda?
Oh, Ms. Bigda, one of the best literature teachers out there. I mean, Ms. Bigda practically taught me how to speak English. Before this class, didn't know a splick of English. No words. No, I didn't read books. I was illiterate. But Ms. Bigda reformed me into the educated, smart student that you see before you now.
Very good, very good. All right, so at the beginning of the school year, we talked about a lot of things. One of the main topics, however, was our project of Wish Tree, which was a story about a girl coming from a foreign country here to America. Would you like to tell us anything about it?
Oh, yes, Wish Tree. Of course, the infamous book by Caitlin. She spoke about being prejudiced against people you don't know, about having opinions when you really shouldn't be able to have them yet. So, throughout the lesson, we would learn about the different types of English rhetorics to use in class. We learned how to use similes, we learned how to use metaphors, and we just did the stuff.
And you being Miss Bigda's star student.
Superstar student.
Superstar student. I assumed you practically got an A on this, even above that.
Oh, I mean, we did a couple stations back in the day with Miss Bigda, and those were a little bit time-consuming, but as soon as you put your heart into the assignments and you try your best, you can also succeed too, Ben.
Wow, thank you. All right, so let's move on to our next topic, and we'll have Jimbo tell us about Harry Potter.
Alright, Gerardo, was it? In Harry Potter, we learned some critical reading rules. How about you, explain it? Oh, well, you see, we learned how to read literature like a professor. Reading literature like a professor is basically a rubric of how you should analyze text. Usually texts fall into very specific categories that they all share similarities in. So this book exposes us to the concept of seeing how all these types of way of analyzing are present throughout all the books we read. Harry Potter was just a gateway for us to learn.
Could you give us any biblical or any figurative languages that you found in Harry Potter that you remember of?
Oh, of course. Mr. Harthaniel Potter he was a bit of a troubled kid. He would get in trouble. Headmaster Dumbledore would be telling him, "Don't do that, Harry." But Harry was like, "Okay, Dumbledore."
Okay, I guess that's how Harry Potter would be saying that to Dumbledore. And Dumbledore, as a god figure in this, we've seen that Dumbledore is a biblical figure, meaning God, and Voldemort being the devil.
Yes, and of course, Harry Potter would be Jesus, the big J.S. man himself, Jesus Christ. Seeing how the brilliant author J.K. Rowling just knows how to implement these types of complex story building skills, it amazes me how she was able to portray such classic biblical allusions in such a worldwide phenomenon.
And just imagine her writing all her stories on pieces of paper when she was, 30? And then now, several years later, super rich with all her books. All right, let's go on to the next topic. We're losing time. we talked about. Let's actually go a little bit slower and slow it down a little bit.
I think I have a couple questions to ask you, Mr. Gerardo. Why don't you tell us more on Harry Potter?
Yes, because I also seem to remember about these lenses, and these lenses which Dumbledore, Harry Potter, as well as I believe
We were in the middle of recording.
the English teacher, English professor, and Dumbledore had in common. Would you like to tell us more about that?
Of course, yes. I would tell you more about the lenses. They're glasses, right?
Yes.
Symbolic purpose,
Symbolic, yeah.
symbolism. Symbolism is a giant juggernaut in literature. Symbolism, it's able to represent something that is not, but turn it into something that it is. So those lenses throughout Harry Potter, we could see they could be a symbol of power. When we first meet Nathaniel Potter, he had broken glasses. His glasses, they were taped together, symbolizing his power at the time. He didn't know what to do. He was kind of clueless. And then, of course, we see Dumbledore's glasses. They were shiny. They were fine. They looked new, symbolizing his major, strong willpower. And then later, as soon as Mr. Hagrid comes into the story, he repairs Harry's glasses. This is symbolic, alright? I'll tell you how it's symbolic. It's symbolic of the passing of power between mentor and son.
Speech. Very nice. And I also like to talk about how, notice, Dumbledore and the Professor have only glasses that are half crescent, while Harry Potter's is full, showing, you might assume his potential. So Dumbledore having reached his peak, while Harry still has much to grow on, and as you can see throughout the story.
Ben, you sure have a literal mind of yourself there, Benjamin.
Why, thank you. All right, so let's go more into detail on how to read literature like a professor. And
Packet, of course. Here in this packet, as you can see, we learn different stuff on how to read literature, like, you guessed it, a professor. So, it's just different ways of analyzing text. It's like a type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I think the word I'm looking for is, literature? Yeah, that was the word. Thank you, Mr. Jim Joms. All right, but as I was saying about the how to read literature like a professor packet, there was different chapters such as if it's square, Sonic, or stuff like every trip is a quest. These are fundamental building blocks when it comes to English. You cannot have a English book without these building blocks to them.
as expected of Miss Bigdas' star student.
Superstar student.
Superstar student, I keep forgetting. As expected of Miss Bigdas' superstar student, you have once again just awed us in disbelief of your information.
No wonder you have the highest grade in the class.
Second only to, well, no one besides, just no one.
If there was someone here, we would have interviewed them. But it's just you.
Alright. We've talked a lot about Harry Potter and how to read lit like a professor. Let's move on to World War Z now.
Oh, World War Z, a dystopian novel. One of the many dystopian novels that we read in this Bigdas class. The basic rundown of World War Z is it's a amalgamation of all different accounts of people living in a post-society, zombie society, should I say, where many struggle to survive and many are clearly having difficulty surviving. We see how human nature can change once the world changes.
And before we go on any further, can you tell the viewers here what maybe a dystopia or a utopia might be?
Oh, of course. I know that. Of course. A dystopia is it's a world, but a nightmarish world. It's a worst case scenario world where all things seem bleak and hopeless. But utopia is the opposite. In a utopian world, everything is perfect, everything is peachy. You can't get enough life. Life is great. Life is super great.
Well spoken, Gerardo.
Oh, thank you.
Alright, so in World War Z, we also, like you said, already mentioned, we see a lot of people change in personality and in mind. Would you like to explain that any further?
Oh yes, of course. Well, Mr. Max Brooks, author of World War Z, he must have included the core literary lenses into his story, but I'm assuming we haven't gotten there, so I'll save that for a later part. But anyways, this stress of a post-zombie society must have just gone in everybody's mind, making them crazy and at the lowest point of their life.
Wow. And I seem to remember about a certain character in the story who believed. Alright, sorry, we just got.
Breaking news from the studio saying how lenses, the 9 core lenses, have been added to the curriculum.
Oh wow, we're gonna have to skip through World War Z for now. Let's go on to 9 literary lenses. And let's have Gerardo explain to us all about it.
Of course, let's have Gerardo explain it. Why, who else would explain it?
Not me, I'm the host.
Anyways, the 9 core literary lenses, they're very similar to the 26 lenses that we see in How to Read Lit Like Professor. They're very similar how these core concepts can be present in every forms of literature. We have concepts such as psychoanalytic, or maybe historical, or Marxist. Basically, these lenses, through reading through one of these lenses, give us an insight onto books, on how the author thinks, and how we can view that all books are basically the same book. So, and by seeing that all books are basically the same, we can truly read literature like a professor.
Ah, very funny fun, very funny fun.
You're quite the comedian, Gerardo. Oh, thank you.
Alright, so let's talk a little bit more about these 9 literary lenses. In Ready Player One, by any chance? In Ready Player One, we see a lot of these lenses, as in Marxist, where the whole world is based off a currency in the game.
Or the big one, cultural, about the big sexy 80s.
Of course, Jimbo would say that. Jordo, would you like to explain more about this?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm done explaining the sexiness of the 80s.
Alright, Jimbo, explain it to us.
Oh, of course. Why would I not want to elaborate on my points?
Yeah, let's have it starring Jimbo as well. Alright.
So, here's my little fan fiction I wrote about Ready Player One. Ernest Cline has a kink for the 80s. He can't get enough of it. He must have gotten his first ice cream at the time. Oh, I really do love ice cream, Mr. Ernest Cline said to himself in the 80s. And now he has a fixation for the 80s. So, my fan theory is that the 80s plays a crucial role in Ready Player One.
Now, for once in your life, Jimbo, you actually said something correct. Alright, let's continue off with Jimbo said, Gerardo. So, yeah, the 70s and 80s played a major role in Ready Player One, as James Holiday really, when James Holiday really made sure that his game was solely based around the 80s due to the fact that his death caused a
His death must have cost, as through analyzing through the psychoanalytic lens, we can see that his death must have caused some sort of hemorrhoid to his mind, making him crazy. Do you have any insight on that, superstar student Gerardo? Oh, yeah, of course I have insight on it. Well, you see, psychoanalytic is just one of the many lenses that we have in Ready Player One. There's also the Marxist lenses, the cultural lenses, the historical lenses. There's also some non-important ones, such as feminist or the post-colonial. But,
or American.
American. How can I forget American? Thank you, Ben. What would I do without you?
Honestly, I don't know. Because I just don't know.
6 minutes. We're 6 minutes. So, books, man. They're all the same. All of them. It's like they're written by the same person. You know why they're written by the same person, Ben, by any chance?
I don't know. Would you like to explain?
Well, you see, the core concepts that we learn throughout the year, the lenses, the chapters for reading like a professor, books are the same. Through Ms. Bigdas' class, we've learned that no book is different. Every book matters. You know, Gerardo, that sounds kind of stupid.
I'm laughing because it's so stupid. Are you high by any chance, Gerardo?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine. You should ask Mr.
Which one's it?
Alright, well, let's go on to our last topic of the day before we escalate the problem.
Breaking news! Rhetorics have entered the competition. Break down rhetorics for us, Gerardo. Oh yeah, of course. There's ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos appeal to credibility. Pathos, they're the paths of their heart. There are facts dealing with emotions. And logos, it's logic. You use ethos, pathos, and logos in order to convince someone on your side, to have someone else go on your point of view. But anyways, Ben, as you were saying?
Well, yeah, actually, let's stop about that. Let's continue off these rhetoric devices. I heard that in Miss Bigdas' class, you had multiple encounters and debates going on with other students. Would you like to tell us the experience?
Of course. Through the rhetorics we've learned in Miss Bigda, we've learned how to better our arguments, how to make them more credible, how to make them sound more logical, how to sound them more sophisticated. We no longer have our plain flaks that have biased opinions. No. Now we have astrosophies and simploses and seduces to throw into the wrench. We can make allusions to other arguments. We can ask a rhetorical question. Does that sound like a good plan, Ben?
That does sound like a good plan.
It's a rhetorical question. You're not supposed to answer it, Ben.
Wow.
Did I just fool you with my rhetorics?
Just as expected, the superstar student, Gerardo.
So, Ben, as we close up our interview, as we have, I prepared a alliteration poem for you.
Oh, great.
Okay, so here I go.
There you go.
Here I go.
There you go.
Ben's been bragging about bees. But Ben broke his butt.
Alright, Gerardo, you are clearly high, so we must end the session right now.
Breaking news. Our superior Bigda has just told us that this podcast may not be legit. I think we might have to start all over when we barely hit the 20-minute mark. That sounds like a great plan. Thank you for having... Of course. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you. Once again, Gerardo Nadarin, best student.
And I'm your host, Benjamin Dahlbeck. With
Your co-host, Jimbo Jim Joms, and ladies and gentlemen, you just been Jim formed.